Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Tonight on Our News, the Grand Lucayan deal to be finalized soon. And coming soon, government to provide COVID vaccine booster shots. Plus, 31 people in custody as police uncover a suspected human smuggling ring. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, a Supreme Court justice is set to make a decision on an application made by the Attorney General's office to appeal a ruling handed down in June, extending its Shantytown injunction to the entire island of Abaco. Kyle Joaquin has the latest.
Justice Cheryl Grant Thompson has reserved her ruling for leave to appeal to a later date, as lawyers for the Attorney General's office seek to take the matter to the Court of Appeal. Back in June, the Supreme Court justice extended the court's Shantytown injunction to all of Abaco, preventing the then government from destroying Shantytown communities without bringing evidence of a breach of the law to court first. The substantive judicial review of the Shantytown matter is still under review by the court, with parties awaiting the judge's ruling. Fred Smith, QC, the attorney representing the applicants, questioned what is the vendetta and the utility of the appeal, and why is the Attorney General's office continuing with the application while the court is making its decision? He said the justice's decision was plainly justified. The previous government had demolished several illegal housing structures in Shantytown communities on Abaco. In court, Kayla Green Smith, representing the AG's office, said the matter is of public interest for the court to examine, as there are very arguable grounds with the possibility of success. She also argued that it interfered with the work of the Disaster Reconstruction Authority. However, Smith argued that the DRA didn't even exist when government bulldozed homes in the mud Shantytown. He said the last government's policy of destroying people's homes in those communities is inhumane and degrading. He called the AG's office pursuit of the application premature and a waste of time, as the only people being hurt are the poor. Now, there is no telling exactly when, but the justice says she will make her decision and inform all parties as to whether or not leave will be granted. For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, the government will begin the rollout of COVID-19 vaccine booster shots within the next 2 weeks. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville says immunocompromised individuals will be the first to benefit.
And the platform for that is being done as we speak, and so hopefully this week or early next week we will launch that platform. There are some people in the country who are at high risk. We are concerned about the possibility of a fourth wave, and those individuals who are at high risk, we would like for them to get their third jab.
Just over 143,000 residents are fully vaccinated. That's 37% of the population. Dr. Darville says research points to the benefits of the third jab.
We've been reading the CDC reports, and we realize many countries across the world is offering the booster shots. For that, we are definitely looking at it in our consultative committee. But at this particular time, the final stages are being put together in order for us to launch the third dose for immunocompromised individuals while we beef up our vaccination campaign throughout New Providence, the Family Islands, and Grand Bahama, so that residents everywhere will come forth and get their vaccinations as soon as possible.
In other news, police arrested 31 people last night in connection with a suspected human smuggling ring. However, several other suspects escaped in 2 boats. Vonique Toot has the details.
Two Romanians, 8 Cubans, 8 Colombians, 6 Jamaicans, and 7 Bahamians were taken into custody last night after police uncovered a suspected smuggling ring on West Bay Street. The men were handcuffed and escorted by heavily armed officers onto this bus, while the women were transported in a separate vehicle.
Straight to the box, straight to the box, straight to the box.
Police press liaison ASP Otley Peters said it all started with a call to the police control room about suspicious activity in the area.
Behind a lodging where 5 boats were observed with persons going aboard. Officers responded, and when the officers arrived on scene, the persons who were boarding the boat, some of them started running. The officers managed to capture a number of those persons. However, 2 of those boats were able to make good their escape with a number of persons on board.
Police and Defense Force officers swarmed the property in search of suspects. 31 people were arrested. The Marine unit was dispatched in pursuit of the suspects who escaped on 2 of the boats, while DEU and Defense Force officers searched the remaining 3 vessels.
There's a Sundancer. That's it's a Wellcraft. That's by way of making model of continue.
Peter said the next step is determining whether those 4 nationals are in the country legally. As for their suspicions of human trafficking,
The officers at the Criminal Investigations Department would have to interview everyone and see what information that is gleaned to determine who are the players in this incident and bring the necessary persons to justice.
the assistant superintendent said if the foreigners are not here legally, the matter will be referred to immigration officials. He applauded the concerned citizens who alerted authorities.
It is a red flag, not just to police officers, but all law enforcement officers. Individuals must enter into this country legally and also exit the country legally. And what we see here tonight is the cooperation of our citizenry to report suspicious matters.
Reporting for our News, I'm Vorney Tude.
Government is close to concluding negotiations with Royal Caribbean for the sale of the Grand Lucayan Resort, according to Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper. Jasmine Brown tells us more.
We are in the final phase of discussions with RCL in relation to our Lucayan matter.
The Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism giving an update on the Grand Lucayan sale outside Cabinet this morning after remaining mum on the matter for several weeks. Just last week, President and CEO of Royal Caribbean International, Michael Bailey, expressed optimism about the deal. The Minister administration purchased the Grand Lucayan Resort from Hong Kong conglomerate Hutchison Whampoa in August 2018 for $65 million and made plans to sell the property to Royal Caribbean and the ITM Group for its redevelopment. In late September, Cooper said he believes the Grand Lucayan deal is an egregiously bad one that has cost taxpayers roughly $200 million so far. The DPM said his views on the deal haven't changed. However, he noted that the Bahamas has a long-standing relationship with Royal Caribbean.
When there is a marriage as long as the one we have with RCL, every day isn't going to be Sunday.
The Minister administration had originally pegged early 2021 for the redevelopment to begin, but the COVID-19 pandemic delayed and changed the terms of the agreement.
The issue in Grand Bahama, as it relates to our Lucayan, in the view of this government, has gone on too long, and I can tell you that we are close to resolution in relation to that specific matter.
Now, there was something else both Cooper and Bailey agreed on, and that's the fact that the project needs to get up and running to help get the Grand Bahama economy back on track. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine. Shifting gears now, 4 days before the Free National Movement elects a new leader, Marco City MP Michael Pintard says his goal is to unite the party to emerge stronger than ever. He sat down with Kyle Joaquin for his series, Taking Up the Torch.
I believe I bring the skill set and the qualities required to pull a divergent group of persons together to work towards a common goal.
Heading into the general election, Michael Pintard says he never imagined he'd be running for leader of the Free National Movement months later. But it's a challenge he says he has taken head on. While his party suffered a crushing defeat at the polls on September 16th, Pintard managed to hold on to more than half of the votes cast in Marco City, becoming the first MP for that area to be re-elected in 20 years.
It was a case of listening to the call of many members of the public in general and the members of our organization in particular.
A husband, father, and community activist, Pintard says he's always been one to call for positive change, from his earlier calls for his peers to not drink and drive to stiffer penalties for sexual offenders.
Of course, I was an activist at the College of the Bahamas and was arrested in a demonstration, then calling for the resignation of the then Prime Minister after the Commission of Inquiry report. So over the years, I've been addressing a range of social and political issues.
During the passage of Hurricane Dorian in 2019, as his home flooded with water and his family rushed to the top floor, Pintard said his fellow residents were on his mind. 2 years later, Pintard is facing off in a race against two of his fellow Grand Bahama MPs. While it's no secret there has been some division within the F&M over the past few years, Pintard says his run is about uniting the party for the betterment of the country.
Over the years, I've learned to work with persons who have not favored me, would prefer that I was not in politics, or prefer that I did not succeed. Some who have left me for dead when I was at my lowest point. It never affected my willingness to work with them if I believe working in conjunction with them could help improve the lives of the people we claim to love.
Over 400 delegates will head to Stapleton Gardens on Saturday for the F&M's one-day convention with the sole purpose of electing a leader. Pintard hopes that once the dust settles, he will emerge victorious. Now, this is just the first in our three-part series. Tomorrow night, we continue with East Grand Bahama MP Kwesi Thompson. From F&M headquarters for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Minister of Labor Keith Bell describing an early morning meeting between Prime Minister Philip Davis and union executives as productive. Bell says several concerns raised by union leaders will be discussed in cabinet.
Obviously, you know that there are a number of agreements that have many outstanding issues. Pay, issues related to wage, hours of work, overtime, etc.
Sunny skies today. Greg Thompson tells us what to expect tonight.
Thanks, Christina. Welcome everybody for your first look at weather. Beautiful conditions on the outside as we are expecting a frontal boundary, a second one to be moving through, and that's dropped our temperatures into low 70s. Just some patchy clouds outside. Your winds are very breezy out there north at 17 miles per hour, and your feels like temperature, look at that, 68 degrees. It's very cool and very comfortable on the outside. Satellite view, first frontal boundary now pushing across the central and southeast Bahamas. The second boundary now moving through the northwest Bahamas. Not much in terms of any clouds associated with that, as well as shower activity. But behind that, we are going to see some very nice temperatures and some breezy conditions continuing tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come, social assistance high on government's agenda, and Fusion returns to pre-pandemic business hours. Stay tuned.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Ahead of Monday's debate on the supplementary budget, Minister of Economic Affairs Michael Halkitis says there's no plan for increased borrowing, but there will be an increase in funding for social assistance programs.
A big part of it is an increase in the social assistance, take into account the extension of the National Insurance Special Unemployment Program. It was due to expire in September. It's been extended to December. Provisions will be made for the increase in public service pensions and as well for the lump sum payment to those who are on the National Insurance Unemployment Program.
Halkitis also foreshadowing adjustments to the capital budget as government seeks to execute capital works.
You'll see a reduction in that budget. Doesn't mean that projects are being cancelled. It just means that we're reflecting what will be spent in this budget cycle. And you'll see an increase in the recurrent expenditure, as I said, to take account of the increase in the social assistance. And we're forecasting a reduction in the deficit from, I think, what was just about $950 million in the budget that was presented in June to about $850 in our revision, so a slight reduction in the deficit.
Well, following months of uncertainty and fluctuating business hours, Fusion Superplex CEO Carlos Folks says they're relieved the emergency orders have ended. This weekend, Fusion will return to pre-pandemic hours, bringing in nearly 15% in additional revenue.
Now that the emergency order has been lifted, we are able to return to our normal business operating hours that our customers enjoyed in the first year of operation. They would be the late show has been returned. And this weekend we will see the return of the 10 p.m. showing. And of course they would get out after 12 midnight, so persons don't have to worry about getting home before the curfew ends. And so we look forward to that return in business. And that represented a significant portion of our business because that was an adult market. All right, we estimate about 15% of our revenue came from that 10 p.m. show.
Extended dining hours and group events are also returning with safety protocols. Chief Legal Officer Tokoyo Bridgewater says after being closed for 11 months, it will take some time to recoup millions in lost revenue.
We were closed for 11 months, so returning a profit is some way out, but we like the fact that our customers are eager to get back into that normal, to get back out to watch the movies, to come and be entertained, because of course, you know, we're not all about movies. We're an event space, we're a kids play area, we're an arcade, we're even a advertising company. So we realize that people want to get back because they've been locked down for so long, and Fusion is here to provide that.
Well, the parents of a 4-year-old girl are seeking answers after the child was allegedly injured at school. They spoke with Giorgio Bain.
On October 18th, Rosano and Michaela Colby got a call from officials at their daughter's school, San Pedro International. The couple was informed that their 4-year-old's hand had been badly mashed by a classroom door.
Before I entered the office, I could hear her screaming through the door.
Mistress Colby, who met her husband and daughter at the doctor's office, compared the experience to a movie.
I froze, to be honest with you. I just had to be in a mode of, Sarah can't see me freaking out because a piece of a finger is literally off.
The child's pediatrician immediately sent the couple to the emergency room.
The doctor said that is a partial amputation because the tip of her finger was, I want to say, dismembered, and the entire nail was pulled out of the nail bed. And because there was so much blood, you couldn't tell if the nail bed was still intact or not.
Sarah has now been referred to a plastic surgeon.
The plastic surgeon said that she should make a recovery, but there's no guarantee that the nail will grow back because of the trauma done to the finger. So we'll have to monitor it as she grows.
The incident has raised many questions for the upset parents. Colby says she attempted to get answers at a meeting held at the school on October 21st, but that did not happen.
I asked her if we can have a meeting with everyone, inclusive of the teachers who were present when it happened. She stated that she would get the meeting together. That didn't happen. So it's very disheartening because we've never had an issue with the school. I brag about the school. I'm very, happy with the results because the teachers there are excellent.
Colby says the other student involved in the accident has been expelled from the school, but the couple says the school has yet to effectively deal with the matter.
She said that we would get through it together.
What does that really mean?
We haven't heard from her, and that's what saddens me about all of this.
San Pedro International School releasing this statement that the matter was investigated and reported and that the situation was remedied as needed in all aspects. Reporting for our news, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Thanks, Giorgio. Still ahead, Alive turns 5 and DeAndre and the Suns stay red hot. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. Telecom giant Alive is celebrating its 5th birthday. Chief Operations Officer John Gomez visited stores across the island today for the festivities. He says the task of transforming the telecommunications market in the Bahamas would not have been possible without the support of staff and customers.
When you look back in terms of, you ask yourself 5 years, how were you able to achieve this? And there are a couple of things that made this possible. One, the network, the people that work for us, the innovation in terms of technology, and of course the customer experience. We have 4 stores here in the Providence 5 stores, and we're going to go around to each of them, meeting the customers, saying thank you for being there for us. And we got some music, some treats, some giveaways. And of course, this is going to lead right into Black Friday and then the Christmas holidays. But Black Friday coming up in 2 days. We're all excited about that.
Ahead of one of the biggest shopping days of the year, Gomez promises Black Friday will be the biggest and best in the company's 5-year history.
We've been doing this for 4 years now, and every year we get better at it, and the doors open at 5 o'clock in the morning, so our customers are all lined up, excited to participate in those offerings, those plans, and what have you. So this year, of course, we have all the new devices, the iPhone 13, the Z Flip for the Samsung, and also the TCL products that we launched at TCL Thursday last week. So listen, to all the customers out there, we appreciate yourselves. Please stop by and see us, because we have some exciting offerings and deals for you.
Well, from beating cancer to leading a 100-person team, Jody Knowles has been a shining light at Bahamas Harvest Church. Her passion and creativity secured her spot in Rev's Connecting People Who Care competition. Jillian Gray has her story.
My name is Jody Knowles, and I am the worship director at Bahamas Harvest Church.
When Jody Knowles joined Bahamas Harvest Church, her goal was to be changed and transformed by the power of God. 8 years later, she's paying it forward.
We place our feet in you because we are seated in heavenly places, Lord God.
Her process was a little bit more rigorous than others. But she said something during the process that I thought was so important. She says, I want to be part of an organization where I feel like I'm giving something to people as opposed to trying to take something away from them.
Leading over 100 volunteers on a weekly basis, Pastor Mario Moxie says Knowles is the embodiment of heroism. Assimilation and Small Groups Director Petra Higgs described Knowles as a fighter. She is a breast cancer survivor and the mother of 3 boys, one of whom is autistic.
She sent me a prayer a few days ago, encouraging me, and those are things that I genuinely love and appreciate about Jody.
Knowles is a finalist in Rev's Connecting People Who Care campaign. Regardless of who wins, Pastor Erica Moxie says Jody is their hero.
Winning this, it means a lot to the church because of Rev and what they're giving to us. But beyond that, I think for us, it was an opportunity for us to celebrate Jody. I think when they came in, I think the part that really sold us more so is finding someone who could be our hero, and it was just so easy.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
New coach, same results for Buddy Hield and the Kings. Marcellus Hall has that and more tonight in sports.
Thanks again and welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. It's been a while since we talked about Buddy Hield, but he has indeed been in action, now playing under a new coach and looking for a bit of a change in terms of winning and losses. Last night they were trying for the first time under coach Alvin Gentry. Let's see how they did. Buddy Hield and the Kings with a new coach these days after firing Luke Walton earlier this week. First game without him at the helm, Alvin Gentry taking over, looking for a win against the Philadelphia 76ers, who were playing without a number of their key players. Kings would lead this game for a lot of the way, but didn't hold on when it mattered the most as they go down 102-94, ending up being your final score. So the Gentry era starting off on a sad note for the Kings. They take another loss. Looking at Buddy's stats on the day, he finishes up with 21 points on and 9 rebounds to go along with 2 assists. Shot 7 of 15 from the floor. As a matter of fact, shot really good in the first quarter as he ends up shooting 5 of 11 from three-point range. On to DeAndre Ayton and the Phoenix Suns, looking to continue that streak last night, looking to make it 13 straight games as they play the San Antonio Spurs in San Antonio. Guess what? They get the job done here. 115-111 ends up being the final score. DeAndre Ayton, solid night for him. 21 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal on the night. And the Suns continue their winning ways. 14-3 now, second in the Western Conference. On to the NFL, where Monday Night Football winding out yet another week of play. Your Monday Night Football game was between the New York Giants and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers, having lost 2 in a row, not about to make it 3. They destroy the Giants, going away 30-10 ends up being your final score. As Tampa Bay back on the winning track, they improved to 7-3. They're still first in the NFC South. Giants fall to 3-7 on the year. And, of course, before we get out of here, got to remind you that there's a lot of college basketball going on here in town. Yesterday, women's Battle for Atlantis Championship, UConn going down. Wow, couldn't believe that happened. And of course, over at Bahama, lots of basketball action. They got started with day one of the Bahama Hoops Fest. So that should be pretty good. We'll continue keeping you updates on that and more as the week goes by. That's your check on sports. I'm Marcellus Hall.
Thanks, Marcellus. Still ahead, a local church aims to feed thousands for Thanksgiving. Find out more after this.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. Will we be giving thanks for nice weather this week? Greg has the extended forecast.
Thanks again, Christina. Welcome back, everybody, for your second look at weather. Frontal boundary now pushing through the capital as we speak. The first one now into the central and southeast Bahamas with some isolated showers and thunderstorms with that. The second one now moving through the northwest Bahamas. As I mentioned, not much weather associated with that system. It will continue to move towards the southeast and merge with the first boundary and push out of here. High pressure, a nice change in air mass will dominate our weather for the next couple of days. Breezy conditions and cooler temperatures expected at least until the middle of the week, and then we expect temperatures to start to warm up slightly by the end of the week. And of course, we are winding down the Atlantic hurricane season, and it's very quiet out there, and tropical cyclone formation not expected through the next 5 days. Boating forecast for all areas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out with north to northeast at 15 to 25 knots. An advisory posted. Very rough seas out there, 5 to 8 feet. With some swells, and those swells will be out of the northeast. Moderate. High tide will be at 10:21 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Tuesday. Very comfortable temperatures expected for the next couple of days. Make sure you enjoy it. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. After surpassing its lofty goal of feeding 3,500 people last Thanksgiving, Faith United Ministries is again hoping to make an impact this Thanksgiving by serving up to 5,000 meals.
A minimum of 3,500, and we believe with the amount of food that we have placed on order that we're going to reach that 5,000 goal again. And so we're once again asking corporate Bahamas to partner with us, and let's put a smile on somebody's face. You know, there are so many people who are hurting in this time, and I believe that we should be a community. And United Faith Ministry is just taking the lead in that, in trying to inspire faith, hope, and love in our communities. And if there is ever a time that we need to do it, it's really right now.
Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. Stay tuned for a new episode of Gippy's Kingdom. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.